Another episode of the Bearded Men of Real Estate Show. My name's Ray. Say hi, Dan.
Hi, Ray. Gosh, dang
And
it.
that is Dan. You messed it up after 161 shows.
161 shows. I still can't get it right. Hi, Dan. There we go.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Please share the show. Hit the plus button if you're in Clubhouse. Let other real estate professionals know that this show exists. If you are joining us in Clubhouse, you can actually pop up to the stage. And when you're on stage, you can join the conversation live. We can come right to you. But I do want to be sure that you're following the Real Estate Networking Club. It's one of the biggest real estate groups on Clubhouse. If you're joining through YouTube, you could comment, that we could display your comment and talk about you, or we'll talk about your comment. Producer Matt says, time to call it quits. Thanks, Dan. After 161 episodes, Dan makes a mistake. You can also comment live if you're watching us through the Facebook. So feel free to do that. We could display your comment there too. We really appreciate you guys joining the show. If you don't like the bit of banter, let me put this at the front of the show this time, because normally we'll mention it at the end, which is counterproductive. But if you don't like the bit of banter as Dan and I talk back and forth a little bit about the show and about our week, then you can always go down to the description. If you're watching the replay, there's going to be timestamps for each one of those articles, and you can hit that timestamp. It'll zoom you right to the part of the show where we cover that. You could also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. If you do that, you'll be alerted whenever we take segments of this show and then kind of produce them throughout the week. So we'll take a chop, get it? It's a play on words, be more Bearded Men Real Estate chops. We'll take a chop of that story and then we'll put it out every day. So you'll be notified of that too. But don't forget, some people, I actually got a message. They're like, hey, I was going to listen to your full show, but then I was like, I'll just hit the description later. And like 4 days later, they're like, oh yeah, I need to go back and listen to the show. So don't forget, we're going to upload it. It'll be on YouTube with the full description and everything by tomorrow morning. You can always watch the replay without the descriptions, but we also upload a podcast. So some people don't know that the Bearded Men of Real Estate show is not only a live show. It's not only a Facebook show. It's not only a Clubhouse show. It is a recorded podcast. So if you participate in the show, just like Christina M. Smallhorn, she says, hello, fellas from Facebook. Hello, Christina. I love the new Facebook profile picture, by the way. Then that lives in eternity, as long as the server's maintained, on our podcast.
I was thinking about the other night. I know people hate this banter, but I was thinking about that the other day. Like, you know, in real estate, how far back do you have to keep your files in Arkansas?
Yeah, it's just what is it, 3 years or something like that?
It's either 3 or 7, but so think about that
for taxes. I think 3 for the Arkansas Real Estate Commission.
So then you can purge, right? You can kind of get rid of it and say everything okay. If no one came after me for that file, then I guess we're good. But think about like Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all the social media. They have to keep it forever.
It is there forever.
Like you can't archive memories because now people are relying on, oh no, like 4 years ago, I want my memory from today. I want to know what I was doing. That's the data mining, the data storage. I can't even imagine. I can't even fathom the numbers that they're going to need to hold in another 10, 20, 50 years.
Producer Beckett says, keep all the files forever, which, you know, he's also a creative, so he loves that kind of thinking too. Christina M. Smallhorn, she loves the banter. Good, Christina. Thank you. Joanna White, she's joining. Hey, y'all. Hey, Joanna. Jonathan Pyron. What's up, man? Melissa Marr likes your hair. 3 years. So she has to keep our documents for 3 years, she says. So I was thinking about this the other day. My kids are going to grow up and they'll be able to like go back and watch Ted's show. That's cool, right?
Right.
But what's even cooler is that their kids would too, right? So, hey, let's go watch Grandpa's old show, see what he looked like. He still
Grandpa
had
Ray.
Grandpa Ray. But then this is like the mind-boggling part. So will my kids, my great grandkids, as long as YouTube holds up and the servers hold up, they'll be like, hey, let's go back. And what, isn't that like weird to think about?
It's insane. I mean, I was thinking about this way with like the Beatles and all those great bands from, well, I mean, geez, recording some earlier than that, but I think about
ourselves to the Beatles, Dan. That's a great way to start the show.
Well, I mean, we're as good as the Beatles is my point, but
sure, right.
Like in all those bands, because they've made it through generations and they're still considered the greatest band of all time, or, you know, unless you have horrible music taste, but and they keep going. So essentially they recorded those songs over a 5-year, 6-year period. They're immortal, you know. So I was in a band. I've recorded a handful of albums.
albums.
And I've done, with you now 161 of these shows. Yeah. We're immortal.
We're immortal.
We're digitally immortal. I think it blows my mind. And I think about that same stuff. It's like generations to go, for future generations can watch this show and learn from it. So yeah.
Pretty wild. Well, thank you all for joining the show.
Banter.
And if you comment on the show and join the show through Clubhouse and all that kind of stuff,
you're also
immortal. So there you go.
There you go.
Producer Matt has a quote: "We're as good as the Beatles." The claim has been disputed.
It's been flagged. This entire show is now flagged.
That's funny. I think for real estate news and commentary given by bearded men, there's probably no other better show. I think it's safe to say that.
And that's the reason we're number 16 in the world for news podcasts, right? Right? Number 16 in the world, right?
Number 16 in the world in Taiwan.
Oh,
yeah. Yep,
for news specific.
For news commentary.
Yep. News commentary, even more specific. But still, it's something.
Yeah. That's fine.
And by the way, that was 6 months ago. So who knows where we're at?
I mean, we've probably climbed all the way to 15 by now.
Yeah, we're this is what you call a meteoric rise over the last 3 and 4 years we've been doing this show. We are an overnight success.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, Dan,
I love the banter. I could do this for an hour and not talk about any real estate.
That's just the whole show from now on. Speaking of the show, Dan, would you tell people what this show is actually all about?
I would love to. Now, when Ray and I met generations and generations ago, I had an idea for a show because I am, in fact, a bearded man of real estate. And when I met Ray, I noticed something very interesting about him.
What's that, Daniel?
He loves scuba. Loves it.
So we were years ago. And we were thinking about doing the whole scuba thing, but I was ignorant of scuba, and I didn't know that you kind of have to have some kind of certification to be a scuba. I didn't know that.
To not die underwater. Yeah.
Well, I just we're going a little deeper, and I don't want to hold my breath that long. Give me a tank. That seems easy. Apparently not. No. So we got the best experience. There's this place in Kauai. If you're in Kauai, Matt, are you back? Are you back? Or are you still in Kauai, Matt? There's this place called Snorkel Bob's, and we got these.
Kauai is fantastic, by the way. Favorite place on the planet.
I would highly recommend Hawaii. 10 out of 10. But there's this place called Snorkel Bob, and they taught us how to do all this. We have the whole gear of snorkeling now, like everything that I haven't used since, because in Arkansas, there's not a whole lot of snorkeling the lake. I mean, it's kind of like a dark colored lake. What are you going to see? More dirt?
You're just going to see a little farther and a little clear. You're going to see dark clearly.
There's some cool rivers that you could snorkel, but you could just look down and see the bottom of the river.
You don't have to get wet.
It's already clear. So yeah, that's my scuba experience, is that I was like, yeah, let's go scuba. Oh, I didn't know.
So every week I think I'm going to get Ray, and he's not going to have a story for me, but there you go. I thought I had him beat this week, and I even told him. But anyway, I noticed that he loves scuba, but also he's a beautifully bearded man. But what I noticed is that he also loves giving value up front to not only his clients, but just to humans in general. So the show is about being more as an agent, but also being more as a human.
Yeah, and there it is. See, that.
I don't know what to do. I'm in Arkansas.
I think that's the last time I used that snorkel since we got it in Hawaii. So. So yeah, one of the things we think being more is being more by knowing what in the world is going on. So we really try hard to cover some of the top news stories so that you don't have to go anywhere else. You can just spend about an hour with us, know everything that's happening in real estate. And if you want to dive deeper on something, we'll give you some tools and resources to do that. But otherwise, you'll kind of know what's going on. So you can speak intelligently in front of your clients and actually know what you're talking about. We also love the opinions from the comments and the people that come up on stage in Clubhouse and share with us what they see that's happening in their market, and also their interesting takes on some of these issues. So we'd love to hear it. So please give us the feedback. That's one of the reasons why we do this show, and we don't just record a conversation. It's really a conversation between us and everyone that's watching or listening. So we really like to have everyone involved, just like Antonio. Hey, buddy. He said, "What up, boys?" Hey, man. Thanks for joining the show.
Hey, man.
All right, Dan. I'm going to. So there's this thing I'm trying out. Let me
started the show. It's one of the benefits. What are you trying out?
Uh-oh.
What are you trying out?
Wow. Hang on. There was like a delay.
Are we good?
I think we're good.
Well, one of the benefits we learned is we started a podcast and then decided to go live on Facebook to get the video and all that stuff. But the awesome benefit, and now adding Clubhouse and all these comments, we get so much connection from around the country and around the world because we are worldwide. And it's just amazing. And you guys are just awesome. So we appreciate you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to do this little club sites thing because I got interested to see what our numbers were just as people come through. It's not working for whatever reason. I don't know.
And we're doing it live on the show.
We're doing it live. Well, you have to. Oh, there it is. Start recording. All right, we'll see if that works now. I don't know. We'll just see what happens. We'll see what happens. All right,
we'll do it live. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. That's from a thing. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
It's an amazing video. Just look up Bill O'Reilly. We'll do it live. It's awesome. It's absolutely amazing.
All right, let's go.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
So it's refreshing every time.
All right. So the first article we have for you today: home sales rose for the second straight month in July as demand outpaced slightly stronger supply. So we did see a rise in the number of homes available for sale. We are seeing, builders trying to build more, which we have a new story on that in a little bit. But home sales are up, and we've been saying for a long time, if only we could get a little more supply, we should see more sales close. But the primary reason why we weren't seeing more sales close is because people couldn't find what they wanted to buy. So sales of existing homes in July rose 2% from June to a seasonally adjusted annualized rate of 5.99 million units. That's according to the National Association of Realtors. These sales figures are based on closings, so they reflect contracts signed in May and June. Sales were 1.5% higher in July 2020. That's the second straight month of gains after a pullback in the spring. And remember, July of 2020, it was taking off like crazy. I mean, it was like a rocket. Sales are likely improving due to rising supply. Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. The inventory of homes at the end of July stood at 1.32 million, down 12% from a year ago. The median price of existing homes sold was 17.8% higher compared with July of 2020. Let me read that. Let me read that again. The median price of existing homes sold in July was 17.8% higher than July of 2020.
Than a year ago.
Right. Now, that's almost a 20% increase. And if you recall, people like Grant Cardone, Susie Warman last year were saying we were going to see a world market crash in which homes would be 60 to 70% lower than they were currently valued about this time last year.
Yeah, the specific example from her, I think it was June of 2020 that Susie posted, and she specifically said, you buy a house for 300, your neighbor's house all of a sudden, because foreclosure or the crash, becomes worth 150. Now your house is 150. It's clear as day. There's no, she's not hinting at anything. She says it will crash. Do not buy a house until what was it? September, October, November.
Yeah.
So from the time she posted that a year ago, year and 2 months ago, whatever it was, people have gained nearly 20% equity.
Right. Now I have to put a disclaimer out there because Susie's going to say, well, that number is skewed by the types of homes currently selling. I know she'll say that because that's what the next sentence is in the article. So that number is skewed currently by the types of homes selling. It says, and the market is much more active on the higher end. Wait a minute. The market is much more active on the higher end. Wasn't it like 2 weeks ago where we shared these numbers, or maybe it was 3 weeks ago? And we said the market was more active on the lower 1/3 because they finally found some inventory.
More inventory, yeah.
So some might say that is an ebb and flow in the supply and demand of the market, where people are selling a lower end home. They finally get it under contract. Now they're moving up. Now here's a quote. The housing sector appears to be settling down, said Lawrence Yoon, chief economist for the Realtors. The market is less intensely heated as it was before. I would agree with that.
Yeah. We've been talking about that for the last couple months.
Yeah. It is less intense, but it's still cool to see that home sales are going up and that supply is going up. Was there anything else that you wanted to point out from that one?
Biggest one, because I'm competing with it quite a bit. I don't know if that's a thing there in Arkansas, central Arkansas, by the way, is where Ray is, or anywhere else in the country. But nearly a quarter of all buyers are using cash, which is also higher than normal. And I found, I mean, it is interesting that more people are using cash. So people have been saving and saving and saving and saving. But where I'm really struggling is I'm getting beat out on cash offers in that luxury market over the 1.2, 1.5 range. That's where I'm really losing out on cash, which is just insane to me.
So cash on the higher end as well then. So it's not just cash in the low end.
It's not, yeah, it's cash. I mean, I'm seeing it everywhere here in Southern California, but specifically in that higher end market over the $1 million range where, I mean, we lost out by $100,000, and they even bid themselves up in their own offer by another $3,000 if anyone beat them. And I'm like, you're already all cash $100,000 higher than us.
That's too good. Yeah.
And it's absolutely insane. And it's just, it's difficult because we're doing no appraisal contingency, but when you have cash, obviously there's no loan, no appraisal. But it seems like, and I'd love to see numbers on this, now that it's been going on for a year or so, I mean, if you went way over, a year ago, you've gotten your equity back and more, possibly if you went over by 10%. But now we're kind of at the tippy top and things are cooling. I would love to know the reasoning in these buyers' head. I would love to know.
Jason Bates, he comments from YouTube. He says, yet people still say there will be many foreclosures. Why would there be if everyone has equity to sell?
Hold that thought. Yes, let's hold that thought because we're going to circle back to that we have some foreburned numbers.
Yes, we do. All right. So the home sales beat estimates, no housing crash in sight, which is kind of what Jason was alluding to there. This article comes to us from Housing Wire, written by one of our favorite economists, Logan Marashami, which is funny that we would have a favorite economist, but he's actually been on the show a couple of times. So.
When I was a kid, I never thought to myself, you know what? I hope when I get older, I have a favorite economist. And I do. Like,
we're such nerds.
And he's one of my, he's one of my favorite people because, well, you'll see when Ray gets into the article. But this is Housing Wire Plus, so we need to remember that.
Yeah,
go
this
there.
Is Housing Wire Plus.
Wire.
We're going to share some of it. We want you to go there. We want you to pay Logan, see the rest of it. All right. So the National Association of Realtors reported that 5.99 million home sales for July. Excellent beat of estimates as the dagger of the hearts and a dagger in the hearts of the 2021 housing crash crew. I love these alliteration names he gives them. Mother demographics and low mortgage rates, two things that have been transparent to human beings for a long time, are powerful economic forces. Both together have made it difficult for an epic housing crash in sales to happen, especially when the years 2008 and 2019 2008 to 2019 had the weakest housing recovery ever. What are some of the highlights? This is a really long article, but what are some of the highlights that you want to bring out? We talked about the increase in, the median existing home price. We talked about that being up 17.8%. There's some good charts, producer Matt, that if you want to put that on there. The Mortgage Bankers Association Purchase Application Index, and shows the number of applications to purchase properties. And you could see the line going straight up there in 2000 to 2007. And then you could see it now not going up quite as rapidly. And it might be that the supply or the lack of supply is kind of tampering those applications. Yeah. And the lack of supply itself is helping the recovery to be strong, but not too much is what it seems like.
So I pulled, by the way, this is in Logan puts a lot of info in his, and it blows my mind because he does at least one or two of these a week, and there's always great intel, and he uses numbers to state his point. But I've been noticing that he's been throwing more and more shade. He gets a little more aggressive with every article. And I shared this one.
Proven right. He definitely lets the other side know.
Yeah. And this one, there's no qualms about it. He's straight up. So he says, this is Logan speaking. I suggest after 10 years of being wrong on the housing crash, call, and now needing an 86% home price crash to just get back to 2012 levels, my best advice is to get some therapy for housing bubble boy 2.0 sickness. You still have time. Life is worth living free from this disease. So good. So he's not hinting anymore. He's just straight up saying, stop it, and then he goes on to say, beware, like looking ahead, this is going to be a key talking point for housing data that needs some context. The key, we are about to enter the months where home sales data will be at a negative year over year. Many trolling Twitter accounts and terrible YouTube crash sites will not present the data with the context that the comps from last year are Rona related to making up the demand, and to ignore it. So he's literally predicting what's going to happen. They're going to take these numbers and go, see, I told you. So ignore it, or at least do your own research, or go get Housing Wire Plus and follow Logan,
or just join us on Clubhouse. Which I'm about to come to some of the Clubhouse comments, because I kind of want to hear what's going on with you guys. If you think that is happening, I want to get producer Matt. If I'm sending you several different directions. If you could show the maroon and pink graph, the Realtors Confidence Index. I thought this was interesting too, just to see the days on market and distressed sales. And
there it is, maroon and pink.
Yeah. So you can see it's 30. Let's see. First time home buyers accounted for 30% of sales in July. Individual investors purchased 15% of homes. All cash sales, this is what you were talking about, Dan, they accounted for 23% of transactions. Distress sales represented less than 1% of sales, and properties typically remained on the market for 17 days in July.
Yeah. Are you seeing any distressed properties? And for the lay people, distressed properties are foreclosures, short sales and stuff. I'm rarely seeing them.
I've shown my first two in the last week. 2 weeks. So I have a client of mine that is he's an investor, but he's also looking for a personal home. So he's attracted to those like large foreclosures and stuff like that. So we're going to one this afternoon. That's a foreclosure, and it's got appointments all day on it. So it's we're going to see what happens. The computer automated valuation put it at like 530,000 or something, which puts it in the luxury market, and the price is just ridiculously off of that. So I don't know where it's going to hit, but we'll see what happens. All right, so there's plenty more to read from Logan, but I thought that was a neat stat. I want to go to Clubhouse and hear what you guys have to say. We just talked about two different articles. If you're just joining us, we talked about the home sales rose for the second straight month in July as demand outpaced a slightly stronger supply. Lawrence Yoon does say that the market seems to be stabilizing. Logan Matashami says not only is it stabilizing, it's continuing to go up, and he sees no end in sight for the recovery. But what say you? Cindy, I saw you flashing your mic, especially when Dan was talking about those cash deals. What's happening in your world?
Hi, everyone. Cindy Ariona here in Salt Lake City, Park City markets of Utah, also known as the Silicon Slopes. We are seeing 36% cash buyers in the Park City market, which our median sales price is $2.5 million.
Wow.
It has predominantly began, as a second home resort. It's a ski resort, Park City ski resort market. But this last year has changed that. We've had such an influx from both coasts of, with the working at home. So it's not so much a second home market anymore. Well, it hasn't been over the past 3 to 4 years. It's been growing from that. But the cash buyers have all of our heads spinning. Salt Lake down on the other side of the mountain, more of the business center. In the mid-20s%, so about the same as what was stated there on the cash buyers. We are also having a few different lenders that are providing options for our buyers who are taking loans to write the offer as cash. And so that's putting a new hope into a lot of buyers who've just been so beat up. And as for the distressed properties, boy, it's like needles in a haystack here. This is Cindy, hashtag Cindy Sells Salt Lake.
Yeah, I was in Park City at the beginning of, what was that this year? We went skiing. I can't remember if it was this year or last year, honestly. I think maybe it was last year. I don't know. I'm getting my months mixed up. Anyway, I learned to snowboard a little bit. But while we were there, it was slated to have record snow, and it just held off. And so it was like not great snow. And then the week after we left, it was like incredible snow, and the whole place was beautiful. So it's definitely a place that we considered getting like maybe we should do a Picasa house there, just on a percentage of a house. But it's definitely a place we considered buying, Cindy. So that's a beautiful area. So I want to hear from other people too that are up on stage, kind of what you guys are seeing. I know Melanie, you're here, Andy. Brandon, what are you guys seeing as far as the makeup of your buyers? Are you seeing more first-time home buyers starting to enter the market? I am seeing that. I'm seeing more first-time home buyers able to get an FHA offer accepted, which previously we weren't. And we do some pretty creative things, but they were just getting beat out. You know, if it's the same price, you have a conventional, people are choosing that conventional, so the appraisal didn't stick with that property for longer. We are seeing more cash deals come through. We have several people moving from California. As you know, Dan, there's a great exodus there.
You get some mass exodus from Southern California.
But the funny part about what they're buying is that they're not getting a loan. You know, I'll ask them if they're pre-approved, and they're like, oh, no. We're just going to use part of the equity that we get from the sale of our house in California, and we're going to buy a castle in Arkansas.
Right. I'm selling a 1,200 square foot home in LA for, $1.8 million, and I'm going to go spend $1 million of that
and get up. Well, no, they don't. They could spend 500,000 of that and be in the luxury market in Arkansas with a, 4,000
10 acres.
So Melanie, do you want to chime in? Kelly, what are you guys seeing? Flash your mic if you do. If not, okay, Melanie's here. What's up, Melanie? How are you?
Hi, Melanie.
Good. Southwest Michigan is an interesting market right now because we're definitely seeing FHAs being accepted, and we're also even getting contingency properties at the same time. So people are able to sell their property, have it contingent on purchasing the next property, which was not happening, 9 months ago. In the second home market for us, which is, I see.
What'd you say in the second home market for you? What? It kind of cut out a little bit.
Oh, no, I suddenly saw you guys pointing to the mitten, and it was confusing me.
Sorry.
In the second home market, we're not seeing as much cash, though. People still see that the interest rates are really, really cheap, and they're not willing to spend their cash. They would prefer instead to be able to put their money into, buying property, but not having to spend it all themselves, because they can make a better return in like vacation rentals.
I mean, if only there was a company that was helping you out with second homes, huh?
If only there was a company that could do that. Well, that's cool, Melanie. Thanks for and we were pointing to the mitten as you said. It's a little bit of delay on the video versus the audio, but we were pointing so that everyone that was listening or watching us live knew exactly where you were in Michigan. So there you go. I know it sounds like she's down under, but she's not.
She's in, and she always broke it down. And it was on the show, or we had her on live, and she said, I've never paid attention to what
I didn't even know it was a mitten.
But looks like, and it looks like a mitten. And then there you go.
Right there.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us on Clubhouse, Melanie. All right. So if you want to speak, just flash your mic. We'll come to you, or you can raise your hand. We'll bring you up. I wanted to talk about cookies. Toll House cookies. We'll take a minute. I'm just kidding.
And you know what's crazy is it's another, big company getting into housing. Dr. Horton did it. Now Toll House Cookies is getting into it.
Toll House. No, so luxury home builder Toll Brothers, which every time. So for me, every time I hear Toll Brothers, I just think of Toll House because they're builders, right? So Toll House. And then I think of cookies. So luxury home builder Toll Brothers reported that its fiscal year 2021 third quarter earnings results on Tuesday that the firm hit a new record for new contracts on the quarter, exceeding Q3 of last year by 35% when new contracts hit the previous all-time high. Now, the reason why this is significant goes back to the exact discussion we were just having on Clubhouse and also what Dan said. I mean, these are not Roush Coleman. These are not spec home builders. These are luxury home builders that are seeing a record-breaking quarter. So the company also said that all-time records, both in dollars and homes, are in backlog, with value surging 55% from a year earlier to $9.44 billion, and units spiking 47% to 10,661. So the chairman CEO, Douglas C. Yearley Jr., said in a statement that we are pleased with our third quarter performance. Home sales revenues are up 37%, and pre-tax income and earnings per share more than doubled compared to a year ago. We're benefiting from our strategy of onboarding our product lines, price points, and geographies as we continue to grow business, drive price, expand margins, and improve capital efficiency. Demand. This is kind of the part that's maybe most interesting to real estate agents. In the luxury market, demand continues to be strong. He added that the housing market is driven by many strong fundamentals, including low mortgage rates, favorable millennial-driven demographics, and a decade of pent-up demand, low new inventory supply, and a tight resale market. So the luxury new home market is seeing great leaps and bounds. Well, this company in particular is, a lot of times we'll look at one company and say, well, that must be a derivative of the entire market. I think you can see from this company's success that, yes, it is, something that you can pull from that is saying, okay, well, it looks like the luxury market is performing well. But I think you also need to investigate that company specifically in their fundamentals, because there are probably other luxury real estate brands that aren't doing so well. So what are they doing different? It seems like as the market increased, they took more of the market share than the growth of the market, which is altogether more interesting to me. They said the way they did this was, what was his quote? Strong fundamentals, low mortgage rates, favorable millennial-driven demographics. But they attributed their increases to their strategy of broadening our product lines, price points, and geographies. So when stuff was out of stock, they didn't just say that's out of stock. They broadened their product lines to find stuff that would work. And they're changing demographic or geographics. They're changing geographies as well. So I wonder if that was due to some of the demand outside of the traditional hot markets for luxury, kind of maybe expanding across the country. So continue to watch them to see what happens. I think you could check what they're doing to see kind of what's happening in luxury. But also, it's a pretty impressive growth for a builder.
Yeah, and one of the awesome things is this isn't a story anywhere, but they were, wood and supplies were hard to get, so they started building houses out of adobe. It's a really crazy move for luxury.
Oh, really?
I'm just kidding.
They started 3D printing all their luxury homes.
Yeah, but no, I don't do it. I say it on the show. I don't do a ton of new construction, but in Orange County, they do really, really nice homes. Like their model versions are, they're more expensive, but they go all in on their houses. They build really nice homes, and you can tell they're really well constructed too.
Oh, we just had somebody pop in that makes our show international. So I've got to mention Howard.
Hi, Howard.
Broadly. He says, hey, gents, all the way from Israel. What's up, man? Thanks for joining the show. We really appreciate you. Are you coming, Howard? Hopefully you're still watching. Are you coming in October to Texas? Let us know if you are. I don't know what the rules for travel are internationally.
I'm going to Texas. They're pretty, remember, we've had him on the show a few times, and it's pretty strict there. So yeah. I'm assuming they're I don't know. Maybe there's not a Delta variant or ABCD Delta. I don't know if there is, but hopefully he can get out here, because that guy's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see you. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, there's a Tom Ferry conference October 5th to the 7th. So if you're going, we'd love to know if you're going. So pop it in the chat, put it in the description, send me a back channel on Clubhouse, because we're going to try to do a Bearded Men of Real Estate meetup. There you go. He said, Rona is not an option. He said, I've had my third Pfizer this week. Wow. FDA approved Pfizer, by the way. I just heard that on the news.
Nice. So now, okay, that's a separate topic. But I just wanted to, there you go. Oh, he's attending online. There you go.
Oh, he's attending online. All right. Well, then we'll wave.
Well, we can get some screen grabs.
Really, Patrick? Patrick's going to Tom Ferry. That'll be fun. So Patrick is an inspector here in Arkansas. I think that would be great for you, dude. All right.
I know. By the way, he has awesome T-shirts that I wear. Yes. I've worn them on the show. They're fantastic. I just wanted to add one thing. Maybe get some thoughts on this, because earlier in the day on Tuesday, Toll Brothers also announced a new partnership with Equity Residential to develop rental apartment communities in several cities, including Atlanta, Matt LaMarche, Austin, Boston. Those rhyme. That's awesome. Denver, San Diego, Seattle, and Dallas, Fort Worth. So it feels like and I'm not super educated in this stuff, but it feels like one of those moves, like when a real estate company adds a mortgage company or an escrow company. They're saying, hey, if you can't afford to buy our houses, then you can rent one of our houses, and they're just trying to control that corner of the market. It feels like.
Speaking of control, Fannie and Freddie forbearance numbers dip. We just kind of wanted to mention this because it's a number we've been tracking for over a year now. Let's see, servicers forbearance portfolio volume fell yet again, this time dipping a single basis point to 3.47 from 3.48. So it's still continuing to go down, and it's less than 4. I think that's like the most newsworthy item on that note. We've been talking about forbearance ever since you could call your mortgage company and accidentally get put into forbearance, which
forburned.
We coined the phrase forburned and anticipated late night infomercials that we really haven't seen much of yet, but I think give them time. I think they're coming.
Well, now it's going to be, landlords, have you been bitten by the moratorium bug?
Yeah. Did your servicers say you couldn't pay in Bitcoin? Now you can.
Wait, don't go forward yet. Wait a second. What? I want to play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay.
And I'm going to challenge you, Ray. What if, okay, because you mentioned there's 1.74 million forbearancers. I think that's what they're called, right?
Yeah.
Now, what if tomorrow they all go into foreclosure tomorrow?
Yeah. Okay.
What happens?
They would just sell their house and we'd have a lot of inventory hit the market.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. I think we'd have 1.7 million homes sold
by Friday.
Yeah. 2 days on market. Now, it wouldn't quite be that drastic, but that's what we're hearing from the quote unquote forbearance crash bros that Logan Matashami is talking about is that they're the people that are like, well, because everything's in forbearance, we're bound to have this crash coming.
Right.
And that's
but Jason Bates said it earlier.
Yeah. Jason Bates, here it is. He said, yet people say there will be many foreclosures. Why would there be if everyone has equity? Just sell, which is exactly
like it would be tough to not find equity right now if it's just in the last year. Remember when things started going crazy in April, they were going up 6%, 7%. So now a year after that, it's a total of, just under 18%. So even if you are underwater, you've made up a lot of that,
While you were talking, I looked, and just today I made $3 more in my Bitcoin wallet.
So you're up from 10.
So I'm well on my way
to
paying off my mortgage with Bitcoin. The second largest U.S. mortgage lender will accept payment in Bitcoin. Dave, is he? Yeah, David's still here. David, if you want to talk on this, I'd love to. If you want to raise your hand, come on up. This is interesting. Starting later this year, U.S. home buyers will have the option to pay for their mortgage in Bitcoin. United Wholesale Mortgage, which made its public debut in January via a special purpose acquisition SPAC merger, announced plans this week to accept cryptocurrency for home loans in what is being billed as the first in the nation, or it's the first for a national mortgage industry.
Oh,
Producer Matt, do you have this that you could where's producer Matt? Did I skip an article? I may have skipped an article to get to this one.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I skipped one.
Stonks.
Producer Matt, stonks. Sorry. I skipped on we'll come back to that one, but go ahead and put the Bitcoin one up. All right. We've evaluated the feasibility and we're looking forward to being the first mortgage company in America to accept cryptocurrency to satisfy mortgage payments. CEO Matt Ishbia said in the company's second quarter earnings call Monday. That's something that we've been working on, and we're excited that hopefully Q3 we can execute on that before anyone else in the country because we're a leader in technology and innovation.
Yeah, if you say so. Of course, you're a leader in technology and innovation.
I know, right? They said,
"Are they going to also take NFT payments?"
Yeah, let me pay for my house with my NFT digital art.
Yeah,
it is unclear whether UWM will hold the cryptocurrency it accepts or convert it to fiat at the point of the transaction. The company did not immediately get back to CNBC with that information. So in the past, and let me see if I can invite David up here. In the past, my understanding, and I have limited understanding of this, but I've kind of looked into it. I want there to be a way for this to happen. But in the past, my understanding is if someone wants to purchase a home in Bitcoin, let's say you have $100,000 of Bitcoin, which means you own like 2.3 Bitcoins. All right. So you have $100 and something thousand in Bitcoin, and you want to buy a house with Bitcoin. You make an offer in US dollars, I think. So you have to convert your Bitcoin at that time to whatever your offer is going to be to make sure that you can afford this thing, right? So then the suggestion is to go ahead and take that money out, because although we're up like, you know, a quarter point or something like that, or 1% in Bitcoin today, tomorrow it may go down 5%.
A lot.
And if it goes down 5%, it's kind of volatile. If it goes down 5%, you made a $100,000 offer because you have $100,000 in Bitcoin.
Yeah,
now you don't have enough money to buy the property. Now you're suddenly at $95,000. And if there's a run on it, or if somebody on Reddit posts something about making a run on Bitcoin, then it goes way down really fast. So the volatility of Bitcoin is the thing that kind of keeps most people from using it to purchase a property, because you have to be under contract for 30 to 45 days sometimes, because then the seller has to go find a house, or there's logistical items like the inspection. So the way I see it being most feasible is that someone uses it as if they were using cash and can like close fast, sell fast, close fast. And it's so fast that the Bitcoin doesn't have time to move much. So you limit the volatility with speed. The other way to limit the volatility is by taking that money and putting it somewhere else, converting it to the fiat currency. And I was trying to bring up David, because I think there's a way to convert it to this like holding, where it basically takes a 7-day average or a 10-day average or something like that, where it's going up and down in that amount. So you're more sure. And it's just held there, and there's a fee for that holding. So
yeah, but that's still so quick, to change that much in 7 to 10 days.
Yeah. But that's my limited understanding of how this works. But what they're saying is that you don't have to convert to dollars. You can go from your Bitcoin wallet to the mortgage company.
Just give it to them. And then the responsibility is on them to either cash it out or convert it.
Or they can keep it. Right. It's whatever they want to do at that point, but they will note that, yes, this mortgage is paid off.
But then it's paid off. So if I have 20 grand left on my mortgage, I can just pay that off and say, here you go. So not necessarily for a new purchase, but can I pay my loan off? Like, I'm done. I paid for it in Bitcoin because I invested in stonks.
So
Dogecoin.
So it's a wholesale. So UWM is the nation's second biggest mortgage lender after Quicken, the Detroit-based lending giant owned by Rocket Companies.
It's always different who these biggest companies are, but anyway.
They work solely through wholesale channels, meaning that the company employs a fleet of brokers who then connect clients to homes. Well, so we're evaluating the feasibility and requirements in order to accept cryptocurrency to satisfy the mortgage payments. What?
Wait, what?
Wait a minute. You said that you'll be able to do it, and now you're evaluating the feasibility. It seems like you should evaluate the feasibility prior to saying that you can do it.
Right. I'm stoked you got to that part, because that's a big, wait, there's more.
Yeah. I kind of buried the lead on that one, but it was a fun discussion to talk about how the cryptocurrency stuff works. If you know more about cryptocurrency than I do, which a lot of you do, we'd love for you to comment on this. Tom Butt says, like making an offer based on your stock portfolio. Well, actually, even more volatile than that.
Yeah, I have. If you have very high risk, high movement stocks, it's still more volatile than that.
Yeah, more volatile, and without the fundamentals. That's kind of what you rely on
without any foundation. It's just ethereal essentially. It's like, I think it's worth this much.
That is a currency, isn't it? Ethereum.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah.
All right. Anything else you wanted to note on that one before we'll go back up?
No, because this stuff is I know I'm the old guy on the show, and Matt's literally more than half my age, and you guys can make fun of me because I don't know how to. What did I have trouble with earlier? Oh, I emailed the wrong pictures.
Oh, wait, hang on. David Morrell, Morrell. You guys find him. He sent me a message in the back channel. He said, I'm driving, hard to talk. Love it though. He said, this space is blowing up. Huge opportunity. You can convert stable coins or TWAP. TWAP. TWAP.
I don't think we can say that on the show, buddy. Stop saying that. We're gonna get flagged.
TWAP.
Stop saying it's not okay, dude.
So you convert to stable coins or TWAP, and that's exactly.
I don't. It's not okay. We can't do that.
Clint Peters. He said, I had a client want to use crypto. Traditional lenders.
Cardi B has entered this.
Producer Matt just put the in the YouTube. Cardi B has entered the stream. Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's. If you just add this to the beginning of her song, I mean, you have TWAP.
TWAP.
I don't think
so
we've taken a turn. And again, for you guys that hate the banner, I'm so sorry. But
Clint Peter says, I had a client want to use crypto. Traditional lenders wanted him to cash it out and let the money season for 90 days before they would let him use it. Wow.
Right. That's
he did find
do the math. That's 3 months.
Let him cash it out and then immediately use it. They wanted to season it.
And not
like, do you think like a paprika or do you think like a garlic? Like what?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty extreme brine is what that is for 3 months.
All right, Bruno. Ron Bruno, he's coming up. He wants to say something about this, I think. Ron, hang on. Let me bring up hold up. Producer Matt, bring up Clubhouse for me. All right, there it is. Ron, what say you, Mr. Lender?
All right. So what it means by seasoning, it just means that it has to sit in the account for 90 days because the lender, they're going to be looking at the past 2 months and they want to make sure that the money was just sitting there versus you showing that it's being converted and put into the account. So that's one in terms of the seasoning. But now, why? Because of the volatile nature and they didn't recognize it. And this is in the past. But now what's happening with Bitcoin and any cryptocurrency is it is true. You do have to sell the asset in order to, you can't send crypto to title, right? So you, in terms of your closing costs, it won't work that way. But what you can do is you can sell it, put it into cash, and then it'll just sit in cash, just like a stock. So they're now recognizing that because now they actually have brokerage platforms that they, that they can reference, that they can vet, and a lot of this has to do with the overall Patriot Act and all of the various laws when it comes to money laundering and prevention and all those types of pieces. So now
it just sounds slippery. Have
$50,000 in crypto. And when you are at that point when you're going to liquidate it, I always recommend that you do it sooner than later so that your $50,000 doesn't turn into $25,000 and now you can't get the house. But if you have a little bit of a buffer there, then you can go ahead and liquidate it. And then that'll go in to your checking account. And then the checking account has already been accounted for. And then you just wire the money from the checking account.
Right.
That's interesting. Producer Matt with a good point. He says some crypto nerd could really bank off of consulting for mortgage companies. Pun intended there. Yeah, I think it's time that they kind of up the ante on exactly what Ron was talking about, how to do this better. There's definitely a better way to do it, especially if you could show a record. The whole point about Bitcoin and the currency itself and the blockchain is that you could trace easily where it came from. And so it doesn't seem like especially a Bitcoin wallet would need to be seasoned because you could just see the entire record of those funds and where they came from, where they've been and all that stuff. So really interesting. Thank you, Ron, for coming up. And yes, I knew what seasoning was, but it's funnier just to picture a little bit of paprika, maybe some smoked paprika being sprinkled on your money.
Yeah, just throw a little twop on that.
All right. Landing a mortgage. We're on mortgages a lot today. Oh, sorry, Ron. I couldn't see it. Wait, you may have a comment on this one too. Landing a mortgage is just about to become easier if you made on-time payments, rent payments. So with homes in short supply and prices climbing higher and higher, becoming a first-time buyer is tough as it is. But if you have limited credit history, many lenders will use that fact to charge you a higher interest rate on the mortgage. So I love how they say that the lenders are the one that's going to use your. No, it's the FICO score and it's how they score it. That's why you get the higher rate, but it's the evil lender. So your foray into the housing market will feel like it's over before you've even had a chance to be outbid on your first 20 homes. This author has a real rosy, Clayton Jarvis has a real rosy view of the real estate process. Now, one of the country's biggest mortgage players who wants to change that by rewarding possible renters with expanded access to affordable mortgage loans. Pay your rent every month, even if you don't feel like it. It's getting you closer to becoming a homeowner. But in just over a month, that might actually be the case. Government-sponsored mortgage giant Fannie Mae has announced that the underwriting system used by its lending partners will begin factoring in on-time rent payments into its valuation of borrowers' creditworthiness as of September 18th. Single-family lenders who receive permission for mortgage applications will be able to identify reoccurring rent payments in their bank statement data. Rent payments can be flagged if they are made either electronically or by check to appear in the borrower's payment history. This is a quote from Fannie Mae's, let's see, I guess it was just Fannie. So it says,
May is commenting on different stuff. They're separate.
Fannie says in a statement. That's funny.
Yeah.
For
May's a separate entity.
Yeah, that's right. May's different. So for qualified renters who may have a limited credit history but strong rent payment history, Fannie Mae's underwriting enhancement creates new opportunities for home ownership while promoting safe and sound lending. So I thought, and maybe it was just for conventional mortgages or manual underwriting. I work with a lot of Dave Ramsey folks, and some of them have like zero credit or close to it because they haven't been using any debt. And part of your FICO score is your usage of debt. So if you don't use debt, you don't really have a high score. And manual underwriters have been taking into account rent payments and payments to utilities and things like that, if I'm not mistaken. But Ron, is this something that's going to really help you to be able to give a loan to a lot of people, maybe in the, trying to get their first home or something like that, and they have been paying on time rents, and nowadays the rent payments are more than the mortgage payment anyway? Is this something you guys are going to use in that process?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I mean, we've been using this for years. If you have someone, let's say you have someone that has come from overseas and they're, they have a green card and they haven't really established a lot of credit, but they're renting a place and they're starting to build their credit history. We've been able to use their rental history as well as utilities and just showing that they're on-time payments. So, I mean, this isn't quite, groundbreaking in terms of news. I'd have to double check the guidelines. Maybe Fannie wasn't using this before, but, I mean, in the day-to-day, I don't have a lot of clients that have just zero experience with credit. But, maybe someone else does. But just at the surface, it doesn't seem too groundbreaking.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was feeling like. Like I've seen this before, but I didn't know if it was maybe the different loan type or something like that. So you're kind of echoing my sentiment as well. It sounded like big news, but maybe there's something different in the guidelines. It's starting September 18th. I'd love to know, after you look into it more, kind of your thoughts on it. Maybe it's for the loans that you were doing that in the past. Were those Fannie sponsored loans, or were those more like a conventional mortgage or some other type of like in-house mortgage program?
Yeah, so though, FHA, I believe, has had that guidance for some time, because they're always looking out for the first-time home buyer. That's where a lot of people are using FHA loans. I apologize for the background noise. I'm heading to a lunch.
You're good.
But, this could be just new for Fannie Mae in terms of expanding the overall guidelines. Something I am seeing is I am seeing a lot of first-time home buyers where they've given up the traditional search in terms of looking at trying to make offers, and they're going to their existing tenant, or they're going to their landlord and seeing if they're interested in selling it to them and making a deal, because the landlord then doesn't have to put it on the market. They also are able to just move forward. They don't have to move. So
interesting.
That's becoming pretty popular nowadays. And in that case, you also could have where owner financing, right? So that's another way to look at that. But people are definitely being creative and trying to reduce friction where they can.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, thanks for shedding some light on those two topics for us, Ron. I really appreciate you coming up in the Clubhouse. And see, that's one of the reasons why I love Clubhouse. It's so easy to get some insight like that on some of these things that maybe I could talk about them, but having an expert talk about it's way better. So thank you, Ron.
Right. And someone mentioned it yesterday on the show prep show or the pre-show show that, like she doesn't listen to podcasts anymore. She just listens to the Clubhouse. It's like there's always a podcast going.
Yeah, Mike Elizabeth Rodell says, or maybe it was a local lenders that could tweak the underwriting versus the big box. And now for the first time, this big box is doing it. Yeah, that could be the case as well.
Well, that's kind of where I was going is what, this is a great idea. This is awesome, but it seems like a no-brainer. Why is it a new thing? Why is it a story? And it seems like it's not. But then my other thing is, hey, it's awesome that there's more and more stuff for buyers to be able to buy a house. But what if we had more and more stuff for sellers to benefit them and incentives for sellers to sell their homes?
Maybe like iBuyer programs, Dan?
Maybe like an iBuyer program or something.
So speaking of iBuyers, we launched, what was it, last week or the week before that we talked about Rocket Homes getting into real estate. They said they're getting into real estate because they want to partner their customers with people that want to iBuy. Well, they want to team up their customers with real estate agents in order to help them iBuy on the marketplace, or iSell.
Kind of, yeah.
Right. So Rocket Mortgage becoming the iBuyer through Rocket Homes.
Yeah.
Well, we have another player entering the foray. Now, this is not the first time that a real estate company has done this. Coldwell Banker did it several months ago. I want to say it was last year. Realogy companies, they have their own little iBuyer program. I haven't heard an update on this, but KW is jumping into the fray there. They've also announced this previously, but they said, I'm getting a call there. They said that they want to be a different kind of iBuyer program. The Keller Williams iBuyer program is supposed to be agent centric. All right.
Well, go ahead and read the article because
I'm going to hit a couple of highlights, but I want to get your take on it. The Texas headquartered franchise behemoth says the agent-centric iBuyer model, known as the Keller Offers, is genuinely different than its competitors. Theirs is the only one that has a fiduciary duty to the agent's clients. Sorry, I'm getting another call. Let me mute that. The company recently hired Raymond R.J. Jones, RJ is his name, I guess, to lead the iBuying program, as well as Keller Manage, a new service for home maintenance, renovations, and moving. This is like the full concierge stuff. Jones, who joins after a stint at real estate coaching in the company Ferry International, I thought I'd recognize his name before, and executive positions at EXP World Holdings and Zillow, said Keller Williams' iBuying service is positioned that agents whose clients are looking to sell quickly and want the certainty that iBuying brings. Currently, the program, initially launched 2019, is in 49 markets, and Keller plans the rollout to the iBuyer program in 100 markets by the end of 2021. This is a quote from them. "Consumers are engaging with competing types of opportunities," Jones said. "Having this service available is a way to make sure our agents are providing more value, but providing an option that removes worries or stress in the context of what the home seller is going through. Other models don't have an agent at the center of it, and the company sees the future of home ownership experience bleeding edge technology." I thought it was leading edge too. I read that and I'm all bleeding edge.
Yeah.
It's essential services and, quote, lasting relationships between homeowners and their agents. Unlike Zillow and Open Door, Keller Williams doesn't use lines of credit to fund the home purchases made through Keller Offers. In fact, it doesn't keep the purchases on his books at all. According to Jones, a myriad of individual investors and institutional investors are in the system and are ready to buy the home in cash from the home seller.
But
yes, Dan.
So it says, they're different, right?
Well, they're giving their agents a commission of 2 to 3% commission, which is comparable to a market listing,
which is just a normal regular listing, but it doesn't really say why it's different. And also the biggest thing to me is it says agent centric, and it says that RJ, did you mention this part? He declined to say how many homes have been sold through the offers program.
No, I didn't mention
though
that.
He noted that between 6,000 and 7,000 KW agents are quote unquote engaged with the clients through the platform. So, because we mentioned this on the show in 2019 and we haven't really heard much about it, but now they got this new guy.
It was that long ago, wasn't it? It was back when they did the whole Keller Commands thing too, right?
It was, the mortgage was happening, and then, which we noted, and then the iBuying thing, but then it didn't, and that's how you officially say the verb iBuying. But I don't understand how it's different, other than I guess that it is agent centric. But why wouldn't you just hire an agent for a traditional sale? Because I can bring an investor.
I can bring an investor that'll lowball you anytime.
Right, anytime you want. I can bring in a guy that'll lowball, and you can be an all cash buyer on your purchase. So, and HomeLight has a product like that as well. They'll buy your house, and then and it's a really great product. I just don't see how this is any different. It just sounds like a guy saying, "No, dude, this is different." Okay, well, how? I know, but it's different.
Which kind of Picasa is getting in trouble for too, which we can get into in a little bit. And apparently my text messages are blowing up. But so that's kind of this is why, one of the reasons why we brought it up is because we're following this all around the country and all the various iBuyer programs. But agents, I implore you to form your own iBuyer program. It's not very hard.
You can do it right now.
Investors all over the marketplace who are looking to buy good deals and get those good deals fast. Now, the difference in what Keller is saying and what they say the other companies do, number one, they're going to pay the agent 2 to 3%. Number two, it's agent centric. But the third one is they said that the agent is representing the clients and has a fiduciary responsibility to those clients.
But why not do that and go full market and get full price for it? Let the market figure out what your house is worth. Why take the low ball offer? And then also my question would be,
so let me be devil's advocate. Dan, I want you to be my agent. I want you to represent me through the sale. I need to get rid of this property. Yeah, I want you to get the highest that the market will do, but just get rid of this property.
Okay.
How can you now, if you have my fiduciary responsibility in mind, sell to an iBuyer instead of listing it and selling it in 3 seconds in this market?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And then how, on the flip side, will the iBuyer continue to survive if they're on purpose paying more for the property so that you could get this lead? So if they're on purpose paying more because they want to keep it off the market, now the market shifts to a buyer's market. iBuyers are going to go broke.
They're going to go broke. And at some point, keeping an agent commission in there, if it's 2 to 3%, that cost has to come from somewhere, and that's the seller. So you're getting lowballed and paying a full 3%.
Interesting.
I guess maybe you don't pay the buy side because the buy side is the company.
Who's the client then? If Keller Williams has all these people in the system,
who's the actual buyer?
I have a database of investors. And I could just send them a message and say, "Hey guys, here's some properties that are coming up on the market. Send me your highest and best." They may iBuyer with you.
Yeah.
And then I can tell my clients, "Hey, I got these offers." Who in that scenario am I representing? Am I representing both, or am I representing just one?
You're representing, if it's your listing, then you would represent both sides. And it's called Pixel Offers, by the way.
Yeah. Offers.pixelproperties.com.
There you go. Easy. Done.
I don't know. I mean, kudos to them for coming up with something for their agents to use for marketing. But I think that's basically what all of these are, from Realogy to Zillow.
We have this new program
to Keller Williams. It's all basically a marketing play.
Yeah, it's a marketing suite that you have to use.
Right. They're competing with local investors who are just trying to pick up a property to sell quickly, change the flooring, change the countertops, paint the cabinets, paint the walls, and get it back on the market for a fast flip, make about 10, 20 grand. They're competing with those folks by having their own group of investors to do the same type of iBuying. But meanwhile, people want to know, like, what my home iBuyer for, and could I sell it for more? Because Zillow right now will offer you more in some markets, which we've covered on the show as well. So, and the reason why Zillow will do that is because then they resell those deals to real estate agents. They resell all of the clients off of that and make money. So they're not looking to make money off that one property.
Yeah. And like we've said on the show, this may work for a chunk of the market. Just, I don't even care what you get, just sell it.
Yeah.
And I'm moving on.
I think there's a definite place for it.
Sure. But it's not a thing, and I mentioned on the show prep show yesterday, is there's an open door it's sitting by me. It's been sitting for, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks at least. And they did the same thing. They bought it and they overpriced it. They did their little, gray hardwood floors and their white paint and put it back on the market way too high. And they're just slowly lowering it, but it just sits there. So I don't know how that benefits them, because investors are like, cool, it's done. Get it on the market. Let's sell it quick. They want to get their investment back and any profit. So I don't understand it, but hey, there's a place for everything.
All right. I just want to mention real briefly, the other Keller Williams, the other thing he made news for was by urging all the clients to get vaccinated, all of his agents to get vaccinated. I mean, Gary Keller urges agents to get vaccinated. Just want to drop that for you. So if you're a Keller Williams agent, go get your shot.
Just leave that out there. Yeah. On stage. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday at Mega Camp I don't know where it's being held.
It's just interesting. I mean, I own a company.
Okay, but it's more than interesting though. And you said it yesterday. So you own a company. What if you urge all your agents to get it? They get it. Something happens.
Yeah. They start.
Well, Ray told me to.
And both me and Dan are not saying something's going to happen for if you get vaccinated or if you don't get vaccinated, but it's kind of your choice, which is kind of our point. But it's kind of risky as a company to be like, hey, go get vaccinated or go do this. Like, to tell somebody to do something medically and then they go do it. And then if something bad happens, like, that's on you, bro.
Even if it's a 1 out of however many people are at the conference, 1 out of 5,000 chance, someone, it's just as a major player.
You guys make your own medical decisions.
Yeah. There you go. That's Ray's stance as a broker.
Ray urges people to make their own medical decision. That seems like a no-brainer. Like, I'm a business. I'm
telling you, man, Ray, you and I need to run for president and vice president. This is a no-brainer.
A huge pay cut. Yeah. All right. So the appeals court keeps the CDC eviction moratorium in place. This is also just to mention, because we talked about it last week, that that it was, I think it was Georgia and Atlanta, the National Association of Realtors was suing, and the appeals court said no, they would not overturn the CDC. Part of me thinks that maybe they said that so that it would go back to the Supreme Court, so the Supreme Court could make a ruling, one Supreme Court ruling to rule them all. The Supreme Court has already ruled that some of this is not constitutional, but they also left part of the previous eviction moratorium in place. So we just wanted to mention that so that you guys know that that's still up in the air. So if your clients ask you about it, you could send them a couple of articles on that. Washington Post and Politico were the two that were kind of the most informative that I've found.
Yeah. And then I got one from Wyoming News Daily or something. I don't know why it was in my feed, but same thing.
Let's see. Oh, so Vince Kleinecht, he says, I've said your last name correctly before. So that was my best attempt reading it quickly. It's a personal decision for both the employer and the employee/contractor. Yeah, especially if they're independent contractors. I mean, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't know.
Well, to that point, it's a personal decision that Gary Keller said that, but then, and remember, he's not mandating it. People are
no, he's not mandating.
He's saying you should, which is
one of the reasons why I also wanted to bring it up, because some of the people were on the Twitters being like, "Oh, Gary Keller mandates." No. He did not mandate it. He just suggested
And also, it is interesting because he's such a big, he's been doing this for 45 years, and he's such a big player, in the game. And it's interesting, live on stage, right before he whipped out his guitar and started ripping and shredding. He's like, "Hey guys, I'm about to play a little ditty called Johnny Be Good. I just want to let you guys know, you cool cats and kittens out there, get vaccinated."
You cool cats and kittens. All right, the last thing we want to talk about is Picasso, and this is kind of where our thumbnail comes from. There goes the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So this story comes to us from Lisa Perk, who's a listener. He said Klein Connect. I was kind of right, but I feel like you have to say it like Klein Connect. Like I feel like it's got to be some kind of accent that I don't know. All right, so this is from NPR. A startup is turning houses into corporations, and the neighbors are fighting back. We've talked about this in the past because whenever they were raising money for venture capital, Spencer Raskoff was out there, and we were talking about former Zillow startup, now helping people to purchase homes, but you don't purchase the whole home, you purchase part of the home, but it's not a timeshare, but it is kind of like a timeshare. Well, this is some of the fallout from what's going on so far. It's got an interesting picture. Producer Matt, if you could show that on your screen and then kind of zoom into that photo. It's a photo of a car, and in the car is a yellow sign with an arrow pointing across the street. And it says the Picasso house, Pacaso house, is the big one on the right with no soul. The neighbors are really taking it hard. So the person writing the article does a good job of kind of explaining this anecdotal thing about how these people found out that Picasso was in their neighborhood and what's coming on from there. The neighbors got together to oppose Picasso. When their neighbors learned about its business model, they were appalled. They saw the venture capital-backed company as invading their community and converting their neighbor's house into a revolving carousel of vacationers. They imagined endless parties, noise, and cars overflowing in their cul-de-sac, and they worried about staying at their neighborhood's called Chardonnay would drive too fast and fail to yield or heed local concerns about wildfires and droughts. But most of all, they feared the Picasso house and more like it would destroy their sense of community and turn their neighborhood into a, quote, adult Disneyland.
Which, okay. I just want to and I mean, I understand it. This is their nice, quiet neighborhood. And the article does mention that I guess the county says that they have breaking news. All vacation renters don't follow traffic rules. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you, producer Matt.
When news breaks, we fix it. So, what I want to mention is that, they say, they want to protect their little area. I get that. And it's also, the county said that they denied Airbnbs and stuff like that.
Yeah. But so they've denied Airbnbs. They've denied timeshares as well. They already have
devil's advocate though.
Yep.
Now, if they know the model, because it says in there, essentially they sell it to 12 investors, eight investors. And then you can have it for up to 44 days out of the year. But you can't stay for more than 2 weeks at a time. So technically, if you have an ownership in this actual house, and I'm actually having these thoughts live. As I read the story earlier, I had different thoughts, but now wouldn't that kind of avoid an Airbnb, which they got rid of? They petitioned against that as well. That would be more, hey, they might stay here 1 night, 2 nights, but if someone's staying there for 2 weeks in this nice neighborhood, they're going to want to keep it nice, right? I mean, and I'm not necessarily for or against this. I'm just saying.
Or have a 2-week party.
Where you don't obey any traffic laws.
All right, so Picasso's CEO, who lives in Napa, saw firsthand how angry Napans were, and the company responded. In June, Picasso agreed to sell the Napa home in a traditional manner to a whole home buyer, rather than convert it into a corporation and sell to multiple people. The company also pledged to beef up its, quote, owner code of conduct to include decibel limits on home sound systems and create a local liaison designed, dedicated to assisting neighbors, not to buy homes in the area for
what do you do for a living? Well, I'm a local liaison for Picasso. What I do is I mitigate any crazy 2-week parties and rule breaking that's going to go on in these neighborhoods.
Some people might call that a property manager.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, I don't know if you're about to read this part, but so if you buy a share in the house, you're able to stay there 44 nights per year in increments that can't exceed 14 consecutive days per visit. You can also, quote unquote, gift. This is where the partiers come in. Gift these stays to friends or family. Picasa offers an app to handle the logistics of booking stays, which isn't that just an Airbnb? Okay, so now it oversees management.
What my friends send me on Cash App is my own business.
Right. You don't need to report that income. It oversees management, maintenance, and cleaning of the property. In exchange for all of this, Ray,
yes,
it charges 12% of the home's purchase price up front and monthly fees going forward. If you buy a share in a house, you have to hold on to it for a year. After that, you can sell it and profit for any appreciation of the home's value or be on the hook for any depreciation.
So unlike the timeshare model, the
right,
owners at Picasa serve collectively to own the real estate, not the time.
Right. So that is different. Picasa is saying we are different. You own the real estate, not the time. It's not a timeshare. It's a real estate share.
But what the community is saying is like, no. When we said no timeshares, we didn't mean the legal entity of timeshares.
Right.
We meant the practice of sharing time at a property.
But legally, that's what they did say. So Picasa's like, no, we're not that.
Yeah.
But they just harassed him enough and got him to sell the house anyway. But what about that 12% and then monthly fees?
I mean,
so if I buy,
they basically take, so they're selling it to 12 people though, right?
That's what I'm saying. 12 people time. If it's $100,000 each, we all buy a stake. No, or 8 people, whatever it is. We all buy a stake in it, and they're all charged. So I buy $100,000 of a piece of a property. That's $112,000 I'm spending plus money, monthly fees. The other 8 to 12 people are also spending that extra $12,000. I mean, it's a no-brainer for the company. We're gonna mark up every chunk of the property 12%, and they're gonna yeah, I'm okay with that.
But Dan, then you can tell your friends you have a house in Napa. Tom Butts says this is different.
Hashtag this is different.
Hashtag this is different.
Yeah.
So I brought this up in the show prep show yesterday, but back when Uber launched, it was having these massive battles with taxi companies and, you know, all these. So they had some stuff to work out. And it seems like that's what's going on. And I think they anticipated this, which is why they launched in this area. They didn't go nationwide right off the bat. It's like, hey, let's just launch in a small area. Let's kind of work out all the kinks. Once this stuff is worked out, I think they'll be able to take it nationwide. But
Airbnb had the issues too.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out exactly what model is going to work for Picasa so that they can get these, acquire the properties in the right neighborhoods so they don't get booed out of the neighborhood. Because that's not a pleasant experience for any of the owners, right? If you show up as an owner and you see like people like have signs in their yard being like, we hate you, Picasa, no Picasa. We don't like Picasa. If you're a Picasa owner, get out of here.
And you're like, I just wanted a part of a second home. That's it.
Right. Right. That is not a pleasant experience for the buyer of the Picasa. Another question is, and this is what always gets timeshares in trouble, the secondary market. With a lot of timeshares, people have trouble selling the timeshare. They have, number one, they have trouble getting out of the timeshare. Number two, if they can get out of the timeshare and sell their share of time, the secondary market for timeshare is crap compared to what the first market is. So what is the secondary market for a shared interest or is it 1/12 interest in a property? Vince, he says, extending the Picasa thought, it would be possible to extend the TIC concept to help home buyers get in a house and participate in the future appreciation. So the tenants in common, man, that's taking me way back to real estate school, Vince. It would be possible if not prevented by the rules and regulations of the Bill of Assurances for these neighborhoods. So I don't know. I think they're going to have to probably do the Picasa houses in same areas where Airbnbs and things like that are allowed, just to avoid conflict. Even if they found a loophole in a couple of neighborhoods, there's going to be conflict, and I don't think that's going to be good for the owners personally.
Well, and there's another one. So the article says, as it did on Old Winery Court, which is I think the one in whatever they called it, Chardonnay.
Chardonnay.
Controversy. Controversy erupted in Napa after the company bought a home worth $1.13 million. That's about 35% higher than Napa's median home price. Picasa, I don't know if whatever it is, insists it only buys luxury and ultra luxury houses, and it therefore isn't competing with local middle-class families in the housing market. But this home, located two blocks from a high school, didn't quite fit its talking points. Some Napans were, they used a different word, but peeved. Picasso says the house was the victim of trespassing and illegal signage. Picasso even claims it had to file a police report after a local wrote to the company and said, "I will burn down any home you buy in Napa. This is no joke."
Wow.
So people are peeved. They're not happy about this at all. Which, yeah, I mean, were they this mad about Uber and Airbnb and VRBO?
The taxis, man, the taxi union was like,
I will burn your car to the ground. Yeah.
Well, that's the main articles that we have for this week. Dan, before we go, would you tell everyone where they could? Oh, I should also mention, hang on. Stop Picasso now.
Oh yeah, the website.
There's a competing website. STOPPACASONOW.com. It's like the residents or they created their own website again.
Well, and it stands for something.
What?
STOP. So it's something TOP. What is it? Slap suit?
Wait, what?
Man, we can't say twap or slap. This is crazy.
Slap suit.
Intimidation
lawsuit against public participation. Slap suit. Interesting.
Oh. Yeah, but anyway, STOP is that an anagram, an acronym? But it stands for something. I forget what it is.
Thanks for being so informative about
something.
I don't see anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't click on the website. I just.
Yeah, they have kids doing chalk drawings. Communities against timeshares. Cats.
Jeez, they're great with these anagrams.
Sonomans together opposing Picasso. That's it.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Opposing. Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean,
so we covered them when they launched, and we thought, hey, we'll see what happens, and so we're going to continue to cover them and see what happens.
Yeah, stop commercialized vacation timeshares. I mean, geez, look at all these.
So if I was living in a neighborhood of that size and that quality, I would also not want this in my neighborhood. But if I could not afford that Aspen, Colorado, or that, the cabin right at the bottom of the slopes,
right?
And I could buy 1/12 of it and use it 1/12 of, I guess, 2 weeks.
44 days a year. 44.
Hang on, do you get it 44? Okay, so you get 44 days, but no more than 2 weeks at a time.
At a time, right?
So that would be great. I mean, I would love to do that, but my neighbor would be like, "Oh, we saved up our life to buy this house, and now we have, this bearded wonder here."
Yeah, this dude shows up randomly. He can't even snowboard. Look at this noob.
He's not our class of person, and yet we smell him from here. Like,
right.
I sympathize, empathize with the residents, but also with the people that are trying to buy these things that, they wouldn't have any other opportunity otherwise. It seems like a good endeavor. And, Spencer,
at a 12% increase, by the way.
Spencer's going to figure it out. I'm pretty confident of that. He's got $1 billion valuation. There's a lot he can do with that. So I think
look at all those Karens.
All right. Well, Dan, where can people find you?
Karen and Ken Chadbro. D Ludwig's everywhere. DLUDWIGROCKS everywhere. No, that's Ray. It doesn't work. I tried it yesterday. It doesn't work, Ray. Ray, where can they find you? Ray
Zorback. That's RAYZORBACK. Everywhere good Razorbacks are sold.
Boom. It works so well.
Yeah. Hit us up on the Instagram. That's where we're posting a lot of this stuff. We're also on YouTube. So be sure to click and then ring that bell so that you're notified whenever we go live. You also be notified of the Be More Chops as we put that information out there too. We really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for everybody that jumped on stage in Clubhouse. Thank you guys for all the comments. We really appreciate you. That's what we believe makes this show different. So we thank you for being a participant. Don't forget to review the podcast. All right. Thank you guys. Bye.